So here we have again something to discuss about reading and writing. One of the most important thing about this is the notes taking. I think you have seen a lot of scholars and particularly journalists taking up notes while getting an interview, and that is also one of the kind of art I'd suggest. Art means, it's kind of fun. Means, for example, there was something called as the shorthand writing, and it used to be called as it was used to be called as steno. So all I can remember is a straight line. It always means that such that. So I learned it, but it's a kind of word that was this is being forgotten. When a person speaks, the points that he speaks is being taken up as shorthand writing. So it will go something like this, and some curved things like this, and it went on. Now why I'm telling you is, everything, everywhere one person attends it, he has to take notes. So here are we concerned about the notes. Most of us take notes when we read our textbooks or any reference books, and this one which I am doing is particularly one of the very good example where I just want to highlight whatever I like. So I just want to highlight reference and books, so I'm just taking the notes of that. This kind of facility is also available in Kindle. I think you know about Amazon's Kindle, one of the best Kindle reader. So I have that Kindle Paperwhite. When you import a text, it comes in a particular format. So you can simply underline whatever you like. So it saves it is saved as a kind of text there. Okay, it's a kind of notes. So it is saved as a kind of note in when you take up the notes. Think about how you take notes. What do you include when you make notes? How do you write? What do you do with the notes you have made? And this is for this reason we have got some of the mobiles. For example, Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Then you have 10, and then you have 20. The series, it has got a pen. The pen is having a small magnet inside, and it's capable of charging itself with magnetic induction property. And then when you remove that particular pen, which is Samsung calls it the S pen, the screen comes up with what you want to write. So I have taken several notes, and wherever, particularly mobile numbers, and particularly when you are in a hurry and you cannot look out for pen and paper. So it's very important. None of the thing that is for note taking is a pre-task. From the following list, place a tick against sentences that are true about note taking. So it wants us to take something which is true. Okay. So here we use fill sentences. Is that true? On the following list, place a tick against sentences that are true about note takings. Now we don't write this, right? Because we cannot have time while taking the notes. But we use abbreviations. I think we also use abbreviations in saving our contacts inside the mobile phones. Okay. For example, I have got several professors list, so I just write like this. PF means professor. So I cannot write the professor in long. It takes up a lot of space and also the time. And just like that, we have got this doctor, DR. We don't write doctor. So we use abbreviations whenever we want to take notes. That is the right thing. We put down in short sentence everything that is there in the passage. Yes, we put down short sentences, and we put down only the important points. This is also right. We mix up notes to plan an essay. That is not there. Is that right? I think it is also right, because whenever we want to make an essay, we write short points and then develop them. We throw away our notes as soon as we make them. So this is also right. Almost everything is right, and the first thing we do not agree. Also, you have noticed that sentence 2, 4, 5 are true about note taking. 2, 4, and 5. It says it's true about note taking. Read the following passage And then after reading the following passage, it also asks us to underline the word spaces you think are important. What kind of passage do you think it is? Let us first read the passages. So I am also new to this because I haven't read the Shakespeare's book. It's an old English and it's not very interesting. But even though it is there in the English literature, but let us see what it wants us to look into, because unless we are aware of the literature, we cannot be talking much about the English learning. William Shakespeare, a famous British dramatist and poet, lived from 1564 to 1616. He was born in a village, Stratford upon Avon, and moved to London, where he wrote plays for theatre group called Lord Chamberlain's Men. His plays were performed in a theatre called the Globe and were very successful. Later in life, Shakespeare returned to Stratford upon Avon, where he died a quite a rich man. Shakespeare wrote about 39 plays for 5 narrative poems and 154 sonnets. I think you know about the sonnet. Sonnets are small, 4 lines, 5 lines, small poems that carry some messages. He wrote 3 kinds of plays: comedies, tragedies, and histories. Among his famous comedies are the Comedy of Errors, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, Midsummer Night's Dream. I have read that. I think probably some of the summary about Midsummer Night's Dream. We have read it in our BSA English. Hamlet, Othello, Romeo and Juliet, and King Lear are some of his tragedies, while Richard II, Henry IV, Henry V, Henry Richard III are history plays. Apart from these, he also wrote plays based on Roman history like Antony and Cleopatra, Julius Caesar. His plays have been translated into many languages and is still performed all over. So performed all over means it's a kind of the people are using the drama and theatre. So again, we have seen earlier what theatre means. Most of the theatre artists come into the movies. A theatre, they use the play for all the drama on a particular stage. They have makeup and there is no editing. Whatever you perform is live. Okay, after reading the passage, until the words impress, it are important. So we have already done that. What kind of passage do you think it is? It describes the process, it gives facts, it gives opinions. So it is B, I think. So it describes the process. There is no process involved there. So it is telling you about the facts of Shakespeare. Once you know what the important points in the passage are, it's time to arrange them in a way that will make it easy to read and to use. So some drama names and some history names you can remember, and something about where he was born and where he lived and where he died, how he died, very rich of word is also there that you can take notes of that. But there are at least that is once you know what the important points are, you can read and use. Since passage is given up as a lot of facts, there are at least 2 formats on which you can put down the notes and take another passage. So what are the formats? The outlying methods. In this method, points are grouped according to relationships and importance. Right? So what does it say? First, list the main points. List the main points. Then indent. Indent means you can underline it or you can press it. When you put something with pressure, it's called as indent. Suppose if I put something like a line here, so I just it's an indent. Or sometimes in uh, tabs format in the word is called as a tab. That is also called as a kind of indent. The related points under it. This is a kind of indent there. Okay. So to indent means to add extra space between the margin and the place where the line starts. The bullet point above is identified. So bullet has got different meaning. So we have got our reading bullet and we have got the killing bullet, and then this one is a bullet points. Suppose if I write a points like this by putting hash, point number 1 and point number 2 like this, without mentioning this, they also mention the points in the below. You will find to take notes based on the passages. Some parts have been done for you. Fill in the blanks and using the model. So here is the small, very good way of taking up the notes. So it talks about life and it talks about his age, his era, where he was born in 1564 and died in 1666. And you write it as born and died. Stratford upon Avon is the place of where is the place of his birth. And then career place of there, performed in London, And in the London, what it is performed has been so at which place? What is the theatre? Theatre name that was there and written for uh, what is there? The written for men means what is it? It is written for men. It's a theatre group called Lord Chamberlain's Men. Lord Chamberlain's Men. Just have a look at it. What are his works? Well, his works are identified. This is the career plays, and his work is identified as 39 plays, out of which comedies examples are As You Like It, Midsummer Night's Dream, tragedies, Hamlet, and King Lear histories. Example is Othello. I think we have so many things there. Othello, Henry V, 4, so many things are there. Roman plays are also there. So five narrative poems also are there. You can see there's Richard II, Henry IV, Henry V, and Richard III. Anthony and Cleopatra are Roman history. That also you can write there. Anthony and Cleopatra. So because this is prepared by some English people, they are having the self-schedule. So if you can take up some science classes because you are going to be some science students, you can just take up the notes. Later I'll deal with that. How to take notes from the some scientific instruments. For example, in the previous day before yesterday, there was something about the carbon. There was a news about this carbon. That is, a diamond has been synthesized in a laboratory in Netherlands. Diamond synthesized in a lab in Australia. So the heading, it caught my attention. But when I went there, it read about details about the pressure that is required for a diamond to be formed and the temperature that is required for the diamond to be formed, and that usually takes place only inside the earth, but this will created conditions so that it can be created in the lab itself. So that if you read that passage, I may even forward that to you. After reading that passage, you can note down some important points, and those points alone carry the information. Later you can stitch up those points and then give a sentence. It is important to make it clear that the main point is what the points being grouped under it are. How do you group them? Okay, for this, use a specific kind of symbols you can use, like let's talking about the symbols like Roman numbers 1, 2, 3. Also, we often write like this. Okay, if you write Roman, you should never write this as this. We have this bad habit of writing first like this. First should be written like this. Second should be written like this. And it is never to be written like first like this or second like this. Usually because when you use the Roman numbers, it also always means that it is carrying that verbal form. That from the main points and for further groupings, you can use 1, 2, 3, and then these are the sub numbers like 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, etc. This means the third heading, the note above will look like this. So this works is the heading, and this is the subheading within one method. 39 place up there, and within that you have got a sub called as A, and then you got this one, and you can even write 2, and you can even write 3, you can write 4. So history is Roman thing. So five narrative points or poems are given there. Okay. Nowadays, we have seen this. We haven't read that, but there is a lot of stress upon it called as a mapping. People use this called as the mind mapping. In school days, they have got something like that. So it's nothing but it's a kind of a flow chart. If you ask me, a flow chart is a kind of plan. What we don't do anything without any taking this place. In these methods, arrows you use to connect ideas to the central point. Using this method, notes to passages to on Shakespeare would look something like what is given below. Fill in the blanks and provide complete notes. So it is asking you to fill in the blanks. So what is it? Shakespeare is there, is alive, is there. So you can put this birthplace. Okay, birthplace. Okay, that's a long line there. And then his works, comedies and history are there. So you can write a few names that are connected to this 1, 2, 3 here and 2, 3 here. And in his career, he's performed in the London, and the Chamberlain's Men is there, part of the Lord is there. These are the two different things there. So his career is going like this, and his works included everything. everything that is not even including the career, comedies, history, tragedies, all these things are there. And while we use the kind of symbols in in flow charts, so for example, we use a circle to call it as the start, and then we write something about the parallelogram there, and then we write something like the command there, or what is the program is all about, and then we end there. Okay. In between, we have got so many shapes, like for example, a square shape is there, and even some trapezium shapes are there. So we describe this. If yes, we put arrows like this, and then we go to next choice like this. So that's the kind of mind mapping there. It talks about the plan. Usually, it becomes very essential that you have something in mind, and then you write them in a kind of very easily understandable sketch like that. Notice that passage is not divided into sections such as life, career, and work. There is something we can do better to organize our notes. Did you notice that? It's not divided into sections as life, career, and work. So we have just to put it. So it just tells about his life and history of Shakespeare. You just divide it into life, careers, works, and within that works you create further something called as what is it? Tragedy, something called as comedy, and then history like that. So you create. Also that no full sentences are used. So it has become a habit that some kind of thing that we use in our SMS that are you there? Something like this. Are you there? You don't even like that. Are you there? Okay. So it's a kind of shorthand taking notes and which is spoiling the present generation's English there. Actually, you have to write it there. Are you there? So it takes a lot of time and explaining. That's what it's taking. When you take short notes, you can just type something which you can understand later. Remember that recalling should be very easier. Suppose if you write a symbol or a short word for which you do not know the explanation later or you've forgotten the explanation, it becomes one of the useless things. Not all examples given in the passage are reproduced in the notes. There is not necessary thing. So this kind of thing is a very important thing in our examinations also. Usually people ask for the notes and write the important points and that are not there in the text, right? That means you have to read some textbook and find out the points there, and then there is not need no need for repeat the same thing in the notes. You can just write the point there. Notice that exempli gratia, exam EG stands for exempli gratia. It is for example, exempli gratia. So we use only gis E and G there. That is the example. Is used instead of example, and performance is used to there is observations. Abbreviations means I think the short form of what we have to take. Okay, the short forms. We can use a number of short forms while making notes, but it is always good idea to universally use abbreviations. Below is the list of such abbreviations we can use and add many more you think of. Remember that when you're using the abbreviation, you need to put full stop at the end of the abbreviation, for example, and performance, etc. Okay, here are some very good points there. So I just suggest that you have such abbreviations. You go through some articles and write some notes on that. So this definitely is going good. Here this symbol is there. I think which this we call it as the ampersand. Ampersand, and it is used for and. And then you have this is smaller than or larger than, greater than, so then, and then you have equal to for equal to, and then you have etc for etc. Okay, this is etc. Dot dash for equivalent, lab for library, lab for laboratory, add for adjustment. So not everything is having something very precisely, but you can go into this. You can write some examples. I suggest you write some 5 points here and then treat them. Treat them accordingly. So here are some points that are included there. High density HDL is low density lipoprotein, and then BP for blood pressure. AM PM that we often write without knowing that is anti-meridian and prime meridian. So meridian is a geological term that we use in the Greenwich time. So it was devised from that place. So we often add plus 5:30 to London time, which you call as the prime meridian GMT or Sometimes now we call it as the Universal Time Coordinated, is now GMT. And India is plus 530 hours from Greenwich Meridian time. So this meridian is what we call as anti-meridian and post-meridian, prime meridian. Other post, and then we know AM is anti-meridian. Our time is AM in the morning and PM in the meridian. So post-meridian and anti-meridian are there. Then you have pH, which is called as the quiescent dehydration. So such vibrations are there. Read the passage fully before beginning to make notes on it. While reading the passage, it helps to underline important points. It helps to underline important points. It may also help to divide the passage into categories like we did in the passage cycles. What did we do? We just did categorize it into comedy, right, tragedy, and history. Just we were able to do that. Do not copy sentences from the passages. So you have to write on your own, on your own, on your own. I think you know what is this? This on your own. Wo, why, wo is there. Oh, your rooms are there. That is an end. Oh, your rooms. You know they have got an. There is an app in the Google Play Store which you know people can give the rooms, join there, and it has got a very wide network. People can find rooms there. So it was taken from on your own. That means you can do it for your own and write them in your own words. Make sure your notes are focused and organized. So it's very important. Means you'll be using your notes and write essays or study for the exams. So in the last part of this video session, I'm going to give some good points up there just to make sure that you give some examples and immediately after the session, take a paragraph, anything like science or editorial in the paper, take down some points, draw some, write some notes, and then just try to understand what you have written and then reproduce them in your own words. Thank you for joining me. See you soon.